natural rhythms and cycles. So I've definitely spoken about this before, about not feeling creative, about not really feeling it, about not wanting to show up. And in the past I've spoken about how I believe it's, important to honour yourself and whatever you're bringing to the table on any given day and working with that. And I've also spoken about how it's important to essentially show up anyway, even when you don't necessarily feel like it, because often through the act of starting, you will find that creativity flows and creativity tends to meet you there. But today I just want to add another layer to this conversation. And that's actually sometimes I believe when you feel like you're in a dip creatively, that it's important to respect your natural cycles and natural rhythms, and that it's okay if sometimes you just don't feel like being creative. But we always still, of course, have a choice about how we respond to external circumstances, respond to internal circumstances. And there's a couple of practices that I have to help manage these inevitable dips that come. Firstly, I do, when I am in a creative mood, if I have an excess of ideas, I will make sure to write them all down and capture them in that moment. So if there are certain days where you're like, I need to create something, but my mind is blank, you can refer back to that list you made when you were in a creative state. I also find physical activity really helps, things like going for a walk, doing yoga, and even meditation in this instance. I know it's not a physical activity, but giving myself external practices, external kind of things that I can do, which tend to help the way my brain flows. But sometimes, and I know this myself because sometimes I have been in a situation where my schedule has demanded that I do something creative or that I need to create something specifically. And I've gone for a walk and I've tried to force myself out of that rut and into a state where I feel full of energy, full of creation, full of inspiration. I've gone for the walk, and on the walk I'm like, I'm feeling good. And I've got home and just gone right back to that lower energy state. And I know low energy is seen as a bad thing often. But I think having periods of quiet, periods of stillness, periods where you don't have a ton to say is really important. I think the resting is a fundamental part of being able to create later on. And I know in the online space, there's glamorization around hustling, pushing through, etc., etc. But I am on a bit of a mission to also glamorize rest, to also glamorize slowness, to glamorize pause. Because life isn't a race. We're all going to end up in the same place. And it's super easy to get caught up in the rush and the desperation to reach somewhere, to reach some goal, to reach some outcome. And that's never been a recipe for happiness for me. What's truly brought me joy is in the slowing down, is enjoying the resting moments. So while yes, honour yourself, while yes, give it a go, show up anyway, start. Give yourself 5 minutes of trying to do something and see if it actually manages to flow through. But if it doesn't, be okay with that. Respect your natural rhythms and respect your natural cycles.